If you're just getting into 3D and you don't know where to start from, there are lots of softwares out there. Some are paid, some are free. You need the ones that are free, and you still don't know how to pick the free software to make use of. Well, if you find yourself in that position, don't worry, because this video is going to solve that problem for you. Different softwares are built for different industries. The best software depends on your goal. Learning the fundamentals, it's more important than picking the software itself. When you learn the fundamental, it will be very easy for you to switch from one software to another. Let's take a look at the industry. We have the animation industry, we have the game industry, we have the architecture industry, we have the product design, we have the VFX, we have the motion graphics, and we have the 3D printing. All these are the industry. Now, when we make that decision of the industry you want to be in, the next thing you need to do is to decide the software you want to pick from. What makes a good software for beginners? Easy interface. Interface must be very easy. As a beginner, you feel intimidated by the interface. The very first time I opened Maya, that was about 2017. It was very annoying. It was so intimidating that I did not open Maya again up until 2024. After opening Maya that very first time that it was so intimidating, I had to stop opening Maya. I even uninstalled Maya and focused on Blender, because then the interface of Blender was very easy. It looks friendly comparing to Maya. Strong tutorials. When we're talking about tutorials, we're not just talking about regular tutorials. There are so many tutorials out there that you can watch, but when we talk about strong tutorials, we are referring to tutorials that can take you from at least a beginner level to an intermediate level. It's really going to make you feel confident to model anything or do anything you want to do in that software. Large community, we need to take a look at large community. If the software you are trying to select or trying to make use of does not have a large community, you want to stay away from that. Now, let's say you are having a problem in that software. You've searched and searched, you did not see. There is no community, no any other option left for you than to just abandon that project because of that particular issue you are having. But if you have communities, not just community, large communities that make use of that same software you are using, you can just drop that issue there and you're going to see so many people that will help you with that problem you are having. Regular updates, you need to make sure this software get regular updates to help you stay in the industry. If it's just software that gets probably yearly update and that is it, yearly update is still okay, but maybe the LTS versions of all these softwares, you might want to stay away from all those softwares because it will not help you update your skill. You might be having some tools that can speed up works for you in other software while you are still killing yourself making use of that old tool you are making use of in that previous software. Good documentation. Not everything you find online, not everything you can see when you talk to people, but when you go through documentation of that particular software, you are going to find your way around easily without getting to ask anyone or getting to do anything. Industry relevance. You don't just want to learn any software. You don't just want to learn any software. Even if it is free, you don't just want to learn it. You need to pick software that if you are looking for a job and people ask you, what program or what software are you making use of? You know that if you say it, you are going to get that job. At least Blender is there, Maya is there, ZBrush is there, Cinema 4D is there, depending on the industry you want to work in. Studios use Blender these days, studios use Maya, some studios use Cinema 4D, but most times people make use of Cinema 4D for motion graphics and so on. So when you're picking software, take a look at how relevant that software is to the industry. And finally, ability to grow with your skill. With all this out of the way, now I am going to give you my own suggestion or my top picks of the software I think you can try as a beginner. You might have guessed it, the first one is Blender. Blender is best for animation, modeling, sculpting, VFX, rendering, and creating of game assets. You can even go as far as editing in Blender. Well, let's take a look at the pros of Blender. Complete package. Blender is a complete package. Anything you want to do regarding 3D, you can do it in Blender. You can sculpt, you can model, you can do VFX. It depends on how far you can push Blender. Blender is willing to go any length for you to achieve what you want. Huge community. Blender has huge community. People that even create plugins for Blender or extension, whatever it is called in Blender, script and so on, that you can use to speed up your workflow. Get some of the features that are not officially baked into Blender or that are yet to be available in Blender, or some that are in Blender that are not properly refined to work for you perfectly. To get people that work on all this and people that can easily help you solve the problems you are having. Endless tutorial. Blender has endless tutorial. We don't need to go deep into that one. Now, we'll take a look at the pros of Blender. What about the cons of Blender? Well, there is no much cons of Blender. It just have a steep learning curve. Learning Blender is a little bit crazy. And if you want me to recommend a tutorial for you to get started with Blender, I am going to suggest you start with the Donuts tutorial. It takes you through almost everything in Blender. Anything you need to do in Blender, it takes you through all of that. Now, that is for Blender. The second one is Bforartists. Bforartists. What is this one for? Built for Blender. Built for Blender. This is just like a copy of Blender, but in a more simplified way. So you can use it to start and go much into Blender later on. Cleaner interface. It has more cleaner interface than Blender. That is less complicated, less intimidating than what you have in Blender. Easier for beginners. It is more easier to get started with than the way it is in Blender. Use Blender's core features. Since this Bforartists, it's almost as Blender, it uses the Blender core feature. So you don't need to worry yourself about being too far from Blender. That is if you want to make use of Blender. Bforartists has most of the things Blender also has. So it will be easy for you to just switch to Blender from Bforartists when you feel you are okay or when you are confident with Bforartists. Bforartists is great for people who are intimidated by Blender. So if you feel like Blender is intimidating, go for Bforartists. It is free. Just make use of it and see what you can come up with it. Spline. Spline is best for web design. So if you want to go into web design, Spline is there for you. It is good for interactive 3D. You know what we mean by interactive 3D? It is good for motion graphics. But the only downside of Spline is that it runs on browser. It does not run on a PC. You can download it and save it. It just runs on browser. And finally, the last one I have here is FreeCAD. What is FreeCAD used for? It is used for engineering. It is used for product design. It is used for mechanical modeling, and it is used for 3D printing. This is not ideal for animation. So if you are going into animation, you want to go for Blender or Bforartists. If you are going to web design and just some basic 3D works, you go for Spline. And if you want to do anything engineering related, you go for FreeCAD. Now, which one of these would I choose? I know you must be wondering which one I will choose. Now, if I am to start all over again as an artist, I am going to start with Blender. And the reason why I am starting with Blender is because there are lots of tutorials in Blender. It is free, not just free, it is light. When I mean light, the download size is very light. It's not like Maya or even Cinema 4D. Cinema 4D is still light, but Maya is about 4 gig or more than, and get up to 7 gig at some point. But Blender is below 500 megabytes. Aside from Blender being light, it is also becoming the industry standard. Not as much as it can be, but when you make use of Blender, you have chances out there that you can get a job making use of Blender. Some studios post vacancies specifically looking for artists who make use of Blender. So all of this together, it's going to make me start with Blender. That is to consider Blender, and it will be easy for you to switch to other softwares once you feel like you're not confident with Blender. So let's take a look at the common mistake beginners always do: switching softwares every week. I'm guilty of this. I've done that before, but not in 3D. When you switch software every week, you keep yourself in a confusion state. Today you make use of Blender, tomorrow you make use of Cinema 4D, the other day you make use of ZBrush, and so on. You just keep going around the cycle. It is not going to help you. Let me give you an example. There was a time I want to work on a project. It's a type where I need to create a 3D type. I felt like Cinema 4D is the best for me to use in creating this, and I am not that familiar with Cinema 4D, just the basic navigation in Cinema 4D. So I tried Cinema 4D. It wasn't working out for me because I can't navigate. I had to go back to Maya, because Maya too, you can create 3D text in Maya, you can do it the way you want to, but it's a little bit limited compared to what we have in Cinema 4D. But at the ending of the day, I was able to do that in Maya and achieve what I want to. Now, the time I spent in Cinema 4D trying to achieve this in Cinema 4D, it has taken some time out of the time I need to spend working on that particular project. So you don't want to switch software as an artist, watching tutorials without practicing. If you are not switching softwares, you don't want to also watch tutorials without practicing. So for you to stop switching softwares anyhow, when you watch tutorial, make sure you practice. That is going to build your confidence. Don't watch modeling tutorials today. Go back tomorrow, watch sculpting tutorials. The following day, you watch rendering tutorials. It is going to scatter your knowledge. Focus on one. Learn shortcuts before understanding completely. If you are just learning shortcuts at first, without understanding how that works or how that function works, it is going to give you a problem with that. You need to understand what happens before you press that shortcut, or how you can get to that place before you press that shortcut. I use my own custom shortcuts in Maya. Not everything, but most of the common tools I use easily. Now, I was able to create these shortcuts because I know how to access all these tools manually without making use of shortcut. Don't rely on shortcut as an artist. Comparing yourself to professional, you want to avoid that. Do not ever compare yourself to professional. That is a quick way of killing yourself before you even start to live. What I mean by a quick way to kill yourself before you even start to live is that before you go deep into modeling, you get to see artists you admire a lot, you want to be with them, and you're trying to compare your work with them. You are not done with one modeling, one object or one model you are working on. Next thing you see your favorite artist dropping another model. It feels crazy, isn't it? And at that point, you feel discouraged, you don't want to continue anymore. If this person can create something like this, how long is it going to take you to create? Follow your beginner process. Get to a stage where you feel confident to model something yourself. Do not look at anyone, do not compare yourself to anyone. The only way you can compare yourself is to compare yourself to your own self yesterday, compare yourself to yourself few hours ago, compare yourself with yourself tomorrow. That is the only comparison you have to do, and that is the way you can find yourself to be better. Trying to master everything at once, don't ever do that. Don't try to master everything at once. It is going to give you problems. Not just problem, it is going to give you serious problems. Don't learn how to model the same day. Don't learn how to texture the same day. Don't learn how to render and light the same day. It is going to be a problem, and don't try to push everything at once. Learn modeling, focus on modeling. Learn texturing, focus on texturing, so as lighting and so as rendering. You want to avoid all these things as a beginner. Now, my final recommendation is pick one software. Don't try different software. I know this is just like, should I say, I don't know how to put it, but it is normal among every artist. When you look at most 3D artists, when you look at their system, you see Maya, you see Blender, you see Cinema 4D, sometimes you see Unreal Engine, you see Unity, you see Houdini, and so on. It is always there. It's just like there is something pushing every one of us to install all these softwares in our system, just to try it out, of course. And when the trial expires, we just leave it that way. And within the trial period, we can just feel like, okay, we are not working with this anymore. And that is it. But make sure you pick and focus on one software. Learn modeling first. Learn modeling first. When you learn modeling first, it is going to build your confidence in proceeding and learning all that thing. Because if you feel blocked If you feel discouraged at some point, you can fall back to modeling. That will build up your confidence back and you can continue again. Practice consistently. Practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice make perfect. If you practice every day, if you are consistent with your practice, you'll find out that in no time, you develop your 3D skill fast. Build small project. Don't start with big project that is going to just leave you confused, or project that you won't finish. Start with small project. It's not about to model a cup for the very first day. It's not about to model a spoon. It's not about to just model a bucket, anything, a plate, a table. All this project is going to build your confidence. When you complete the project, you are going to be happy that yes, you are learning something. Don't chase every new tools. Not every new tools you want to chase. You are using Blender and tomorrow you see that, oh, there is one software that if you just click one button, click two buttons, it is going to generate this for you. It is going to do this for you in seconds, and you leave Blender running over to that software. It's not going to help because you are still going to start from scratch again, learning how to make use of that software. Now, I want to tell you something. Understanding the fundamentals, it's one of the key things you need to focus on. Software does not really matter, to be honest. As a 3D artist, it depends on your skill, not the kind of software you are making use of. If you understand the fundamentals of 3D, you can make use of Maya, you can make use of Cinema 4D, you can make use of 3ds Max, you can make use of Blender, Bforartists, and so on. Even all these softwares that are for mechanical engineering or basic 3D, you will be able to make use of them. Why? Because you understand the fundamentals. Now, I'm going to leave you with this. If you're done watching this video, I want you to take out your time and leave a comment in the comment section telling us how you pick your software, what software you pick, and why did you pick that software. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for being part of this video, and I hope you gain a lot of insight as a beginner looking to start your 3D journey. And if you decide to choose Maya as an artist, I have a 5 hours tutorial taking you from a beginner level to an intermediate level of modeling, texturing, and rendering in Maya. See you guys in my next video, and make sure that you stay creative.